I want to extend a warm welcome, OL510 welcome to Kareen Wilson, who was in my class in the fall, my first class of this. And she did such an impressive TED Talk. We talked about weaving story in with information and telling a story that really keeps people captivated. And she did such a phenomenal job that I wanted to have her return this time to give you guys a sense of what this looks like. And she makes it look really easy. So after it's done, and you guys give her your warm ovation, she said she would stick around for a few questions. So if you have any, kind of jot them down or think about them. And once she goes through this, she'll answer them for you. So with no further ado,
thank you.
The stage is yours.
Thank you. Pay It Forward. It is the name of a popular Hollywood movie, and it's a cliche phrase that I'm sure you've probably all heard before. But what does it really mean? You do an act of kindness for someone else with the hope that they'll do something wonderful for someone else. In our day of social media, where everybody is evaluated by their likes or their friends on social media, we want to do something that makes an impact on the world and sends a ripple effect of love and kindness. In the Journal of Social Psychology, they did a study and they found that when people did one random act of kindness for 10 days, that they tended to be a lot happier than those people who did not. James Fowler, who is a professor at the UC San Diego, and Nicholas Christopoulos, who is a professor at Harvard University in sociology, studied people who played a public goods game. And they found that when people gave random money, that the recipients were more likely to give more money to other people in the future. Pretty soon, everybody was caught up in a wave or a tide of kindness, and everyone was giving money to everyone else. In short, Fowler says, quote unquote, you don't go back to being your old selfish self. But what if you could trace your act of kindness and see how it had an impact in the world? I had a chance to see how my drop of kindness sent a ripple effect of kindness throughout the world and had an impact on others. Every year in our office, we forgive 2 families in our office of their debt to the practice. One year, we were able to do something that set off a wave of magical. Julie was a patient in our office, and she had come in with a terrible toothache. She had needed a root canal and a crown, and she was in a lot of pain. Julie was going through a divorce from a less than wonderful man. She was losing her house in West Hartford. Frankly, she was broke. And on top of that, she came into our office in pain. We treated her, and after it was all said and done, she owed $1,147 to the practice. She came in a few months later, and after she came in for a regular recare examination, and after it was all said and done, she ran to the front desk, she looked at my team member, she pulled out her checkbook, and she was begged for forgiveness because she knew that she owed us money. My team member pulled up her account and said that she didn't owe anything. She was adamant that she owed something. I approached her and I said, "Didn't you get my letter?" And she said, "No, I had just been behind in life. I was going through, the aftermath of my divorce, and plus my mother is ill, and I just kind of have been behind, and I didn't get a chance to read that letter." I told her that in the letter that we had forgiven her debt, and all that we ask is that she pay it forward. Julie started to cry. She was so grateful. And she said that that $100 that she was going to put down that day, she had a friend who had just lost her daughter, and she was going to take that $100 and pay it toward her funeral expenses. We thought that that was the end of the story. 2 weeks later, Julie no-showed for an appointment in our office. I was upset. I had just forgiven this woman over $1,000 and she decided to no-show for an appointment in my office. I thought that was just plain rude. But a few weeks later, she came in and she apologized for not being able to be there for that appointment. She said that the day before she was supposed to come in for that appointment, she had gotten a phone call that her mother was really ill and that her mother was actually dying and that she needed to come right away. That nursing home where she got the phone call from was in Seattle. She hopped on a plane and that her mother actually died while she was on her way to Seattle. Now, I felt bad for getting upset for her for missing an appointment, but she proceeded to tell me a story that made me feel incredible. While she was there, she was going through her family's affairs, and Julie was an only child, and her father had died 2 years prior. And she was a little concerned about what she would find because her parents were really frugal and it seemed like they had no money. And she thought, I have no money. How am I going to bury my mother? As she did her research, she found some other paperwork and she found some interesting facts. She realized that her parents weren't frugal, it's just that they were actually saved money and that they actually had a large investment portfolio and that portfolio was in a company, little company, at least way back then, named Amazon. Her parents were rich. In fact, Julie would never have to worry about money again. In fact, she would probably never have to worry about money again. Her children would probably never have to worry about money again. Probably her great-great-grandchildren would probably never have to worry about money again. While she was in Seattle, she went out to a local Applebee's to have dinner with a friend. And while she was there, she became friendly with the waitress. And she learned that the waitress was a single mother, was working 2 jobs, and her car had just died, and she was actually taking her bus back and forth between her 2 jobs. Julie said, I thought about my mother's 2-year-old Subaru sitting in the driveway, practically unused. So she told the waitress, I have a car for sale. It may need a starter, but you're more than welcome to come look at it. The waitress said, my boyfriend is a mechanic. I'd love to come take a look at the car. And when they met, the waitress said she wanted to buy the car. And Julie said to me, I thought of you, Kareen. I remember you saying, pay it forward. Pay it forward. When the waitress asked me how much I wanted for the car, I turned to her and I said, $10. You would think that the story ends there, but this is where it gets really interesting. When Julie arrived back in Connecticut, she was going over some paperwork and she was going after closing her mother's affairs. And this is where she realized a huge coincidence. She looked at the sales receipt from the car that she had just sold. And she looked at the death certificate from the nursing home where her mother was. Remember how the waitress had said she was working 2 jobs? It was then that Julie realized that that lady was a CNA and that she was the nursing assistant who was with her mother when she died. Pay it forward. You never know how a small drop of kindness can send a ripple effect throughout the world. Mother Teresa is documented as saying, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. Go and cast your stones. Thank you.
Every time. Okay. Oh. Do you guys have any questions? Because I'm just going to gather myself. The last time I was bawling like oh my God. Did anybody else get chills? Oh, did anybody see that coming? No, right? When she said death certificate, I saw your face though. I saw your face and you were like, oh no, she is not going to say that, right? Do you guys have any questions for her? Now you know she's a student from the fall.
Thank you for your story.
Oh,
I
no
just
problem.
wanted to know what was your process to get to what we just saw now. What did you start with? Did you start with the story? Did you start with this? How did you?
Well, obviously, this is a true story. So when Dr. Cooper had mentioned about, putting your TED Talk together, I let me reverse back. I do a lot of presentations for different companies, and I go to a few leadership classes, and one of the things they said is to always weave story into whatever you're talking, because people will remember it more, you know? So I always thought about that is, you know, just tell a story. It could be a simple story. Obviously, I added the dramatic effects a little bit. You know, when Julie came back and told me that story, of course, the two of us were crying and bawling, and she's still a patient of mine, and the lady still has a Subaru, she told me the other day. So we shared that way. But the one thing that Dr. Cooper said is that the beginning part about the facts, where I kind of weaved in that fact about, you know, when people pay it forward, you know, they're more happier, the game thing. That's all the fact stuff that I think backs up your point of the pay it forward, how important it is to do it. And then, of course, telling the story, and then finding a quote that is relevant to your story, kind of at the end, brings it home and says, see, this is what makes it awesome, kind of thing. So, of course, thanks to Dr. Cooper, adding that beginning part to find documentation to back up what your story is definitely plays a factor into that. So,
Nice. Good question, Glennis. Thank you.
it's a good story.
Other questions? Comments? Feedback?
How many times did you say it to yourself before you could remember it verbatim?
Well, you have to realize I did do it before, so I did it in another class. The other thing that what I actually did, because like I said, I do other presentations. The one thing that I find is that, you know, in all your smartphones, you have the recording. You can record it, and just play it like when you're driving. You know, like just
I
just
told
listen
you guys
to
about
it.
this, like on the treadmill, you're listening to yourself. It's creepy, but it works.
I know it's creepy, and people probably thought I was crazy as I'm driving my car and I'm talking with the thing while it's going. But it's a wonderful way for you to record it. And if you can record it, I try not to record it like obviously you write it out and you just can read it, but read it with emotion, read it with feeling, so that you feel you get that practice for it. So that's one thing that I do. Yeah.
What's the title of your talk?
Pay it forward. Yeah.
Other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much, Kareen.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you.